Stacy the Blackfeather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacy style. And today we're going to geek out a little bit and we're going to do a review of a sci-fi deck that I personally am really excited about. I just got it in the mail, and to be honest, I can't believe that I've been into tarot all these years and haven't had it yet. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, we are exploring the Star Trek original series, and this is a tarot deck, and I'm super pumped. And it said it came with some kind of tutorial. I have no idea what that means. Obviously, I don't need a tutorial given that I read a lot of tarot, but maybe it means it's a guidebook along with it. But let's just sort of check it out. This is so fun. It's from StarTrek.com. It says it's a 2020 CBS Studios. So, you know, it's not like, I want to say it was made in the original era that Star Trek was in. But that's okay. I saw all the pictures online and I got this off of somebody on eBay. So I think that's what this is, the tutorial companion. So yes, I guess I paid for the deck and the guidebook. So let's take a peek here. Card Trek from the Trifoni to the 23rd century. So it's got a really nice table of contents here. Oh, wow. It really goes into, oh, that's Trifoni. Sorry, Trifoni. Tarot heyday. So it gives you a little history of tarot, which that's actually really kind of cool. French tarot, the bids, the deal, gives you different games to play with the tarot cards. Oh, that is interesting. Okay, so I take it back. I'm kind of glad I have this little guidebook. I think it might be interesting to read and check out. And it shows other decks as examples. It gives spreads and spread examples. Very cool, very clever. All right, and so now we have unsuited cards, and so that is the major arcana. I'm not sure why they're calling them unsuited, but there we go. And it's showing the different characters from the original series. And I like that they're not necessarily all the main characters, that they are actually I want to say, the standout characters of each of the episodes. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to be really excited to see these. Suit of Rods is Wands. Let's see what else we got here. Cups, Suit of Cups. That's the doctors. It's the medical crew. And science, I should say. The Suit of Blades, so swords. Sword energy, and coins, the Suit of Coins. All right. So yeah, let's check it out. Okay, they've got an appendix as well. Oh, and it gives some astrology information. Wow, you know, this guidebook actually has been done just on, you know, on first glance. You know, they've done really well with it. So that's kind of exciting. I'm looking forward to checking that out. All right, now I'm really excited. So it comes in a really nice box. It's kind of the almost like leather, kind of a leathery, textury material, a little bit like snakeskin, but more like a really kind of seasoned leather. And we have the Star Trek insignia on the front of it. Let's see if we can shed a little light on the subject here so that you can see a little better. There we go. I think that's going to work. I love that it's got these, you know, 2 silver lines that demarcate the box. They go all the way around the box. This is Telekiad. So they're definitely sticking with the theme, which I think is really cool. All right. So for those of you who've been watching me for a while, you know I'm a sci-fi girl. I absolutely love all things Star Trek and Star Wars and Marvel and Stargate. You know, anything that's Battlestar Galactica, like any of those things, that is my jam. And so I did get the Star Trek Next Generation deck, and I did I featured it on one of my videos, and I was really bummed out because it was a pip deck, and I didn't realize that. And, you know, no offense to anyone who loves pip decks. For me, I feel like it's a cop-out. You know, every card in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot system has its own meaning and has its own message. And when you do a pip deck, which basically means, the minor arcana are all basically the same. You just have like 5 cups or 6 cups or 7 cups. There isn't like a story that goes along with it. It bums me right out because every card has a story to tell. So I didn't go for this one at first because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a pip deck. But according to all the pictures, it's not. So I'm really excited. So let's take a look at it here. So it's on very thin cardstock. I think they definitely could do better with the cardstock, but it is what it is. It is reversible. It's got a nice blue border around it. We've got a, sort of the galaxy, the space with a little nebula in the corner of each of the cards. So I think that's really great. Let's see if they're gilded. They are not gilded. But they're a decent size. They're about the same, I want to say like standard tarot size. So let's take a peek and see. I'm not sure what order they're in. So let's go. All right, well, let's just go this way. So here we have the Ace of Rods, power. And it's got, on the reversal, it's got decline. So depending on, if you're reading reversals, I'm not a reversal girl. But if you're reading reversals, we've got that information there. It has all of the astrological information here. This looks, now I might sound like an idiot, but this looks almost like Braille. It doesn't feel like Braille, but it looks almost like a Braille symbol. So I'm not quite sure exactly what that's about. It gives coordinates and things, which I think is great. And this, of course, is a Gorn. And this comes from the episode Arena. So it looks like they're going to be featuring... they're going to be titling the episodes. So we'll see what happens. This is the 2 of Rods. And interesting, you can also use these as playing cards. So maybe they're doing a little bit of both. So this looks like a club. And clubs are wands in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. And in the regular playing cards, it's the equivalent to wands. What are little girls made of? So this is where, if I'm remembering correctly, control and unexpected. It's not Spock's brain. They make a clone. And I believe this was, the husband of Gene Roddenberry's wife, the husband of Gene Roddenberry's wife in the show, Nurse. Oh my God, I can't think of her name right now. Of course, I'm such a fan, but now I go into channel mode and I can't retain anything. Anyway, he makes a clone. He tries to make a clone of Kirk. 3 of Wands, Errand of Mercy. So they were on these are very high elevation beings that refuse to get into a war with the Klingons. 4 of Rods, 4 of Wands, Ceremony and Alliance. The Omega Glory, we pledge the allegiance to the United States, but they changed the wording. It's very fascinating. 5 of Wands, 5 of Rods, the Savage Curtain. So let's just kind of see what the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot meaning of the 5 of Wands is. For me, it's scattered energy or it's focus. And what they're showing here is during the Savage Curtain, the Gorn throw Kirk and Spock, and I forget who else was there, onto a planet. And well, it's actually not the Gorns. It's a higher being that throws them and the Gorns, and they have to do all of these, jump through all these hoops, and they bring back all of these tyrants from history, from human history, and Vulcan history and things of that nature, Klingon history. And they have to kind of battle it out or duke it out. So yeah, that kind of makes sense, having to train or feeling like you're in the rat's maze. 6 of Wands, 6 of Rods, Advancement and Facade, A Taste of Armageddon. So this is when they're up in the stratosphere. Actually, no, that's not stratosphere. That's, I think that is stratosphere. No, that is not stratosphere. This is when they're on the planet that they all fight, but they fight digitally. Like they play war games. Nothing is bombed. Nothing is actually destroyed, but people will voluntarily go in And like if they're selected and in their territory, it's like pretend, okay, you got hit and there's no real destruction, but the people have to go in and be killed, and so they're still fighting this war, but in such a bizarre way. Seven of Rods, Seven of Wands, Operation Annihilate. This with all the weird creatures that, falls onto Spock and sucks the life out of him. Eight of Rods, Wink of an Eye. Oh, that's a great episode. So Eight of Wands, swift release. This actually is very appropriate, the story of this. They're an interesting race of people who are trying to take the ship over, and they vibe at a very different frequency, so they can switch back and forth, and they slow things down or speed things up. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense with speed. Nine of Rods. So here we have Leonard Nimoy. We have McCoy, Dr. McCoy. Experience and adversity. Nine of Wands, the deadly years. So this is an episode when he ages unexpectedly, rapidly. 10 of Rods. So rewards and the burdens that go with it. Burden and trap. Spock's brain. He loses his brain. Somebody takes his brain out of his head. The Page of Wands, of Rods. So we have Charlie X, zeal, and what do we have? Petulance. Yes. So a youthful energy. He was very enthusiastic and curious, but he was extremely immature and therefore very dangerous and caused a lot of trouble. The Knight, and interesting, they're using the little n to represent the Knight of Rods. This is a quest, and what is that? Density? Disunity. Knight of Rods, quest or disunity, and this is the changeling. So the changeling had been reprogrammed over time. It was there to kind of help humanity at first. It went off and did a bunch of things and came back, and it got damaged, and so its programming decided that it wanted to basically world domination, take over the world, and so they had to kind of destroy it so that it wouldn't destroy them. Queen of Rods, confidence and rivalry. So Queen of Wands, that makes a lot of sense. And this Vulcan is the perfect example of a Queen of Wands energy. King of Rods. Wow. So we have Khan, Space Seed. Yep. He's definitely it. He's got charisma. He's got class. He's got style, but he can also be absolutely ruthless. He's got a lot of ambition and a lot of arrogance, thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. Ace of Cups, where no man has gone before. So this was in the pilot of Star Trek. And she ends up kind of being turned into this higher dimensional being. She and the original Captain Pike I think it was Pike in the pilot, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just say, I am a huge Star Trek fan, but I'm not a Trekkie. So don't expect me to know all the things about all the things, because I just don't. This is really interesting. The Two of Cups, the enemy within. Captain Kirk goes into the transporter and comes back spliced. So there's parts of him that are all the good parts or the soft parts, or I would describe it as the divine feminine, gets split from the divine masculine, and he comes back through the teleporter, two different versions of himself. So the all good and the all bad, you know what I mean? Like the light and the shadow. And so I think that really makes a lot of sense with the Two of Cups, that soulmate energy, or having to unite, that union. Mud's women, Three of Cups, love it. That's perfect for that. Four of Cups, dagger of the mind. So they do a mind control where they kind of brainwash you. Four of Cups, that kind of makes sense because it is a card of apathy and foresight. So when you have your brain sucked out of you, you are apathetic. You just do what you're told. There's no emotion. You're kind of numb. Five of Cups, regret and affinity. Interesting. This is also a card of grief. Let that be your last battlefield. This episode always stands out to me so much because, as you can see, these two individuals are very, very similar. They look like they're from the same race. The only difference is one side of the face is white, and the right side of the face is white and the left side is black, and the other people, it's the opposite. The white side of the face is left and the black side of the face is right. And they war and basically destroy themselves. in the episode. And they've been battling forever and ever and ever. And in the end, you see them going back to their place. And I mean, there's just nothing left, but they still are battling. And so, it's a real take on, I want to say, on racism and kind of, in my opinion, the stupidity of the things that humans choose to fight over and kill each other over. So that makes a lot of sense. Having regret, like, why are you fighting over this? Six of Cups, yeah, friendship. Plato's stepchildren. So Kirk befriends this guy when they land on this planet, and this guy, he's like he's a little person, actor in real life. I think that's the politically correct term. And he's been told that he doesn't have any power, and so all of the other people that he's with, the gods and goddesses, they treat him like shit. And they start to treat Kirk and Spock and Uhura terribly. They're making them like perform like circus monkeys or whatever, and this guy helps him out, and in the end he discovers that he has more power than all of them put together. So Seven of Cups, and the children shall lead. Now this is interesting. This is an episode where the kids on the planet do all sorts of crazy stuff. They're in charge, and they're mayhem. Everything mayhem ensues. It's another kind of laboratory situation where you're a lab rat. Eight of Cups, retreat and spectacle, the immunity syndrome. So this one is like black hole kind of situation. So yeah, you got to retreat. You got to know when to walk away. The Mark of Gideon, she comes from a planet where it's so overpopulated that there's no space. And she comes to, sort of this area to die. She wants to die. She loves that it's quiet and she's got room to breathe and room to move. And she wants to die, kind of thing. So the Nine of Cups, fulfillment. She gets her wishes filled. 10 of Cups, optimism. Oh, this is great. Tomorrow is yesterday. I love that for the 10 of Cups, because 10 of Cups is that ideal outcome, right? And so I love that they're showing past, present, future in this situation to kind of indicate this ideal outcome that you are either at or you are building. You started to manifest it a lot sooner than it actually showed up, right? But you're a part of it all. So I think that's really cool. This guy gets caught in some kind of time loop, and he's from a bygone era. He gets pulled into the future. A Page of Cups, Miri. So this reminds me of, there's a book that I read as a teenager, the girl from another city, or the girl without a city, something along those lines. Anyway, there's a plague, and all the adults died, and the kids are left to kind of survive and rule the city. So the same premise here, only once they hit basically puberty, they start to go mad, and then they eventually die. And so she's right on the cusp of that, and she's helping the team, helping the captain and all of the officers to kind of navigate the waters and try to get off the planet. The ultimate computer, the Knight of Cups. So yeah, he kind of loses his mind a little bit, and kind of goes a little mad, drunk with power type situation. Queen of Cups, the empath. Yeah, so this is the perfect scenario character for the Queen of Cups. King of Cups, I Mud. Oh, yes. Charmer to the nth degree, ridiculous, annoying, but you can't help but love him. Like, you love to hate him. He causes all sorts of shit. Ace of Blades, Ace of Swords, activity and obstacle. And so here we have Sulu, the Naked Time. They get a virus, and they all start to, their inhibitions are lifted, and they start to kind of have illusions and delusions about things. Two of Blades, so compromise and duplicity, whom gods destroy, having to decide which Kirk is the real Kirk. That which survives, Three of Blades. Oh, this is perfect for the Three of Blades. Sorrow, confusion. This was like a hologram android that was created on this one planet, and they go to this planet, and they quickly realize the planet, it's a planet of weaponry. So people would go there to buy weapons, and they slowly discovered that this person who's left on this planet, every person she touches, they die. And it's because she's been basically programmed with a particular poison for a very particular specific person. So, she starts to kill everybody, but that's what she was created to do. It's kind of interesting. Four of Blades, seclusion, recovery, the lights of Zatar. Oh yeah, so Scotty's in love with her, and she gets taken over by this creature that makes her talk really funny. And of course, this was all filmed in the 60s and 70s, so it is rather amusing. It's kind of funny and super cheesy, and you have to suspend your disbelief. I think it's easier for me to love on this because I grew up with it. I was basically like, some of my first memories at 3 or 4 are of watching this. So reruns of it. So I think that's really cool. 5 of Blades, patterns of force. So they get into this alternate universe Nazi situation. Eerily enough, this is very reminiscent of some current events that are going on. So it's pretty freaking scary. 6 of Blades, passage and revelation. The alternative factor. So this is another one of those, split personalities. One is all in the light, and the other is all in the shadow. And he's in charge of like time travel. He keeps jumping timelines and bringing everybody into a different timeline because he's trying to destroy something or undo something. 7 of Blades, deception and warning. This is the salt sucker, the man trap. This is like the first or second episode after the pilot that comes on. So it makes a lot of sense. So 7 of Blades, 7 of Swords, mis and disinformation, integrity, dishonesty, strategy. And this creature definitely embodies all of those things. 8 of Blades, feeling entrapped, stress and misfortune, wolf in the fold. He gets taken over all the time, and he performs these awful crimes, these awful murders, and he doesn't understand. This is Scotty. He doesn't understand what's happening, and it's because there's a being that's kind of taking over his mind, and he doesn't have memory of what has transpired. 9 of Blades, anguish and defiance, obsession. Yes, I mean nine of Swords is obsession, so that makes a lot of sense here. 10 of Blades, by any other name. So this is a crew of people that decides to take over the crew of the Enterprise and to steal the Enterprise and all the rest of it. And they have the ability to turn people into salt. Like they bring them down to their basest elements. They compact it into like a hexagonal shape, and then you can just smash the shape and it turns into salt and dust and whatever. So that makes sense. 10 of Blades, sacrifice. So it's ultimate ruin. It's a Phoenix card. It's Phoenix burning, like the end. Page of Blades, shore leave. This was a kind of a memory from Captain Kirk of one of the people that he went to school with. That was a kind of like a leprechaun type. Always mischievous, and they would fight and whatever. And so he manifested him on this planet. The Squire of Gothos. Yes, the Knight of Blades, Knight of Swords. A nuisance. Smart, but just ostentatious and really caused a lot of trouble. Emotionally extremely immature. Had a being with a ton of power, but not a whole lot of conscience. Queen of Blades, Elan of Troyes. Yes, she falls in love with Captain Kirk, and kind of puts like a little spell on him with her tears. She doesn't mean to do it. She's horrible. Like she's just like, and she's the perfect example, I would say, of like a queen of, the way people think of Queen of Blades is, be as atrocious and horrible as you can and throw around your power to keep people away because you're really hurt and you're soft and you're tender on the inside and you don't want anyone to know. And so, Kirk is able to kind of whittle it down and feel into who she really is. And so that makes sense with Queen of Blades because, Queen of Swords is often misunderstood. King of Blades, Day of the Dove. Yes, the Klingon. I should know his name. It'll come to me. But anyway, this makes a lot of sense because Klingons are all about the fight. Interesting, though, I I would have actually made them more fiery because they're full of passion. But it makes sense that they're blades because they're very warlike and they're passionate about their war, but they're fighters by nature. Here we have the Ace of Coins, beginnings and waste. All our yesterdays. This is a great episode too, where the crew gets on this planet, and the only way that they don't realize that the planet is about to basically go into destruction, and so all the people on the planet have gone into this library. They've created a technology that allows them to time travel. They have to be calibrated, and they can only go into that particular era, and once that door is closed or that portal is closed, they can't go back because their planet is going to be destroyed. And so Kirk and Spock and the crew are exploring, and they go to this planet not realizing that once they're in, they can't get out. And so they go through all of these different timelines to try and find people, to find their people, and to find a way out of it, and all this kind of stuff. And Spock falls in love with this woman, and she's chosen to she's been ostracized and imprisoned in this like a archaic caveman, super freezing cold, like living in the Arctic, living at the North Pole kind of energy. And of course, Spock is a vegetarian, and all of a sudden he starts to eat meat, and he starts laughing. And of course, he's a Vulcan, so he doesn't laugh. So yeah, that just makes a lot of sense. Two of Coins, change, turnabout, intruder. Oh, this is the one where they swap bodies. It's the last episode, I think, of season 3. This crazy kind of woman who's gone a little bit cuckoo, who knows Kirk. She swaps bodies with him and tries to take over the ship and whatnot, using his body. Three of Coins, the gamesters of Triskelion. Triskelion, actually, is what they say. Triskelion. This makes a lot of sense. They spoke to all these beings or brains. So you're speaking to the brain. They don't have bodies. And then they actually, kind of talk to him about, borrowing their bodies. Four of Coins, mirror, mirror. Oh, this is a great one. So they go into an alternate universe, and they get to meet their alternate selves, or to learn about their alternate selves and how evil they are in this universe. Five of Coins, insecurity and persistence. Oh, I love that. The Corbinite maneuver. So this being is a kind of a holographic vision of another being that kind of fucks with the Enterprise, but it's really just trying to learn about it. So it puts everything into a lot of craziness. And when you actually find out who the being is behind it, it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. He thought this was going to be scary and more intimidating, but then you see this child. It's in essence a child. Six of Coins, charity, bread and circuses. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Give and take, reciprocity, greed. The Galileo 7. Oh, this is a great one. They're on a mission to deliver medication to a planet that's going through some kind of plague. And they get marooned on another planet. Getting there, they get into an accident. And so there's delay, delay and worry. There's a lot of delay. They can't get to where it is that they're trying to go to. Eight of Coins, assignment Earth. Oh, this is a great one. So this is like a spy. Dun, 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 dun. And I think there's like a 50s or 60s show, maybe Get Smart or something like that, where they kind of modeled this spy after. And he travels back and forth, through time. He's got a little portal in his office and whatnot. He does all sorts of things to try and stop rockets from launching and things of that. He's actually a good guy. But it's really funny, and he's got this black cat that he speaks to all the time that that morphs and changes into all sorts of things. Nine of Coins, prosperity, artifice, a piece of the action. Another fun one where they get onto this. I think it's I think it might be Earth in the past or whatever, and it's kind of a gangster type feeling. And so they have to play this game and a piece of the action, and they're doing mob boss talk and, making up games. And yeah, it's funny. The trouble with tribbles. Okay, I was wondering where the tribbles were going to come in. 10 of coins, abundance. Yes, distraction. Yes, that is the trouble with tribbles. Age of coins, practicality and rebellion. Oh, I love that. Yes, amok time. That is Spock's wife or soon to be wife. Knight of coins, security and inertia. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So Knight of coins is slow moving, slow paced. Balance of terror. This is Sarek. He is actually he's playing a Romulan here. In later years, he plays Spock's father, a Vulcan. But here it's like he's this, kind of cold and calculating ruler. Not ruler. He's the captain of the ship. Trying to fight against Enterprise, and he's just a little bit slow in how he sort of delivers everything. And in the end, it's his undoing. Queen of coins, trust and suspicion. Journey to Babel or Babel. This is a Spock's mother, so that makes a lot of sense. The human. And King of coins, responsibility and atrocity. So the conscience of the king. This is a guy. Think of Nazis who escaped punishment and they go and they live a secret life and somebody figures out who they are. That's basically what this story was about. And he was the Nazi and he gets found out. Okay, so now we have what they call it in here, the unsuited, but we have the major arcana. So we've got the Fool, curiosity and folly, the way to Eden. This guy, so funny. So back in the day, the hippies were the thing, and they meet a group of hippies that end up like containing a virus or whatever. And so they're trying to get from one planet to another. And one of the people in this group of hippies is the son or the daughter, I think it's a son, of an admiral in Starfleet. And so, the Enterprise is tasked with, going after this individual, getting this individual and stopping the cult-like experience. It's interesting because it's a, when you watch it and, if you think about it as like a historical kind of fable or tale, the establishment is not happy with the hippies, making fun of the hippies. So there's a lot of like making fun of the hippies, but there's also the hippies that, kind of stand out. So it's interesting about the Fool because he's like, yeah, I'm going to take a different journey. I'm singing about it. I'm all about peace and love and flower power. And I'm curious about the universe. The Magician, skill and inadequacy. Ooh, that's interesting. Cat's paw. So this is a kind of an interesting character. They get sucked into the orbit of this one planet where everything is illusion. Everything that they see is illusion. Even this guy here, this character is an illusion. The High Priestess, wisdom and ignorance. For the world is hollow and I have touched the sky. She's the ruler of a people that lives on a ship, but she knows that they're on a ship, but they don't know that they're on a ship. It's kind of like they're traveling from one planet to another. I forget what happened to their original planet. I think there was some kind of catastrophe or calamity, and so they had to leave. And, they've got a bit of that religious feel to them, that they're looking for the right home or the right place. And so she's their leader and she's got a lot of ritual and spirituality and all the rest of it. And she falls in love with McCoy, Bones. I love that she's the High Priestess because she's the only one that she's like the Oracle, let's go see the Oracle. She's the only one who has access to the Oracle. And I call the High Priest the Oracle, High Priestess the Oracle all the time. The Empress, indulgence and vanity. Oh my God, Friday's Child. This woman is freaking hilarious. Yet another one who takes a liking to McCoy, to Bones, but not at first. She's pregnant. She's the wife or the consort of one of the enemies that gets killed in a battle. And so then she tries to run away or whatever. And the crew, the Enterprise crew, somehow manages to kind of get stuck with her or whatever to try and save her. And she just wants to die because that's what was supposed to happen. She was supposed to die with her guy. And they're like, no, like you can live or whatever. And then, she gives birth and she's like so difficult to deal with. And then once she gives birth, like she's just totally in love with with the doctor, and like only the doctor can touch her. It's very funny. So that makes a lot of sense with the Empress. She's royalty. She's used to having everything that she possibly could want. She's in a situation where she's not in a VIP 5-star resort. She's like in a hellish camper, or just out in the wilderness camping, and she doesn't know what to do with it, and she's just vile. It's so funny. The Emperor, authority and autocracy. Who mourns for Adonis? So this is Zeus that realizes how irrelevant he is to his children, right? To the people. The people don't worship and adore him any longer, and so he just withers away into nothing. And it's very interesting. So, as the emperor, that makes a lot of sense, because he wants to be magnanimous. He wants to be seen as loving and all of these things, but then he exacts punishment when you don't behave in the way he wants you to. And it's very much the emperor energy. The Hierophant, tradition and doubt. The return of the archons. This is also a great episode. So this makes a lot of sense. This is if I'm thinking of the right episode, it's a planet where they kind of not go back in time, but they get caught in this kind of loop where they live according to a certain way of being. Like, you have to behave in this certain way, and then like at a particular hour of the day, they all like get frozen. They kind of lose their minds, and then they go completely mad. It's like Armageddon. It's like mayhem. Everything, anything and everything goes. And then, when the clock strikes again, they all come back to normal, but nobody really knows what has happened, because everything is just mayhem, and they just go back to normal and they do their thing. So I think that's the right episode. The Lovers, the Paradise Syndrome. Yeah, this is perfect for the lovers. I like this one because Mayomani, he falls in love with this native indigenous woman, and she's really beautiful, and tragedy befalls her, and it's heartbreaking. The Chariot, action and what is that? Deflection. Action and deflection. Sorry, I'm reading it upside down. The Tholian web. Perfect. So here's the Enterprise getting caught in the Tholian web. Strength, courage, and instinct. Yes. A private little war. So this is also when they're on the planet with the plebs and the pledging of the allegiance, and there's a kind of a fight going on, and this woman goes after Kirk, tries to kill him. The Hermit, caution and isolation, requiem for Methuselah. Yes, so this is a being who has been many incarnations of all of these amazing artists, Mozart and Brahms and Berlioz, and like he's lonely because he's lived so many lives, he's gone through so many deaths. And he creates an android for himself, and she doesn't know that she's an android, and things happen, and he loses her. And it's very sad. So it makes sense about the Hermit. He's really done the self-awareness journey to the point where he's like, I wish I could die, but I can't, and I keep losing people. The Wheel of Fortune, opportunity and risk. Oh, I love it. The City on the Edge of Forever. So this is like the tomorrow. This is like the portal that takes you to different places. So yeah, the Wheel of Fortune. It's going to be a crapshoot where you end up. Justice, balance, and bias. Court martial. So this is where Kirk gets wrongfully accused of doing something, like his orders are wrong or his orders go bad and somebody dies. And so they're trying to, he has to go and prove himself right or wrong. And, he goes through this whole, like, he gaslights himself and others are gaslighting him. And in the end, it comes out that, there was something else going on. The Hanged Man, betrayal and limit. So this is great. This Side of Paradise. Yeah. So this is another episode where Spock gets this flower, this pollen pops into his face, and it's basically very euphoric. So he turns into this like romantic lover, anti-rules, a rebel, laughs all the time. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a difference in perspective, what Spock to be, and all of a sudden you're seeing this complete other side to him. You love the side that you're seeing, but you also know that it's not him, and it can be very disturbing. And so anyway, I think that's really cool. It makes sense for the Hanged Man, because he betrays Captain Kirk in this episode when he's under that influence. Death, transformation, and status. Status? Yeah, status. Metamorphosis. So this is a being that fell in love with a captain who got stranded on that planet, and kind of lives forever, and becomes a part of that being, falls in love with that being, or that being falls in love with it. He doesn't realize it until the crew finds him. They want to take him away from the planet, to rejoin the population. And this being is like, nope, you're mine. Temperance, diversity, and conflict. Is there no truth in beauty? Yeah, makes a lot of sense. He's having to weigh both sides, and if you know anything about Spock, he's a Vulcan, but he's half Vulcan and half human. So he's got this human side that a lot of times he just hates and tries to, beat out of him. And at other times, the human in him is something that really helps him out. And so that's kind of his journey throughout the whole episode, the whole show, the whole series is, coming to terms with his human side. The devil, oppression and release. The devil in the dark, the Horta. This is a creature that started killing other people because they were mining and killing her children. They didn't realize that this creature lived there and had all these round spheres, which were her eggs, her children. And so, she was being oppressed. She was being suppressed. And Spock does a mind meld with her and figures out what the situation is. And then they're able to stop the killing, and they're able to kind of work together. They stop the mining, or they come to an agreement about how they're going to mine, and the Horta agree to help the people out. The Tower, crisis and disruption. So this is the Doomsday Machine. Whole ships and whole planets get sucked up into this machine. Like whole planets and star systems are devoured in this. So it makes a lot of sense that that's connected to the Tower. The Star, hope and uncertainty. Return to tomorrow. Yes. So, tuning into the sphere for information, trying to understand what is coming through next, looking for the next vision. The Moon, mystery and fluidity, the menagerie. So again, this is a planet that they're on. A big illusion and delusion is created, and it is a big mystery. They can't figure it out until they realize, oh, this is all fake. What we're being shown is fake. The Sun, success and benefit. The Cloudminders. Yes, they're up in the stratosphere, and a very interesting episode. Lots of parallels, I want to say, to kind of racism, discrimination, class, making a two-class society, the rich and the poor, those who have all and those who have none. Very interesting in that. I like that it's showing success as well. Judgment. So we have evaluation and aversion. Specter of the Gun. So this was an interesting episode where they get thrown on a planet by a being, and they live out a Western thing. The Clampetts and the Hatfields and the McCoys, or the Clampetts and the something or other. It's a Western type of thing. I actually have a crossover video that's coming out with one of my collab partners, Mark from Crime Chronicles. We got together in Tombstone and did an episode that is similar to this story. So that's where that comes from. So yeah, they're having to make decisions. They're having to make choices. They're living out this scenario and having to make different choices. Do we want to do this all over again, or do we want to break the cycle and move forward? The World, conclusion and despair. The Apple. So yes, this is like these individuals on this planet called Paradise. They live like virtual children. They live off the earth, and they have to go and feed this creature all the time. And if they don't feed the creature, bad things happen. And this is their god kind of thing. And of course, the crew gets in there and, messes with things, and all sorts of, crazy things happen. And in the end, they realize, oh, these people are, enslaved to this creature, but they don't need to be. And so they kind of give them their freedom, whether they needed to or not, they give them their freedom. So they come full circle. The creature is now inert, and they're teaching the people now how to be able to fend for themselves. And it looks like we have a question and an answer card here. So we have the question: the aliens, scrutiny and fear, the cage. So this comes from the pilot. And the aliens, surprise and wonder, also the cage. So, it's really interesting. I'm a little bit surprised that we did not see a picture of Uhura in here. The only ones that we saw were McCoy, Kirk, and Spock. We saw Sulu. We did not see Chekhov, at least not that I can recall. So, kind of interesting. Not what I was anticipating. I'm not disappointed with this. I think it's great. I think that the characters that they've chosen really do connect to the meanings of the cards, which I think is fantastic. But I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing all of the main characters that were in the original series. So that's kind of interesting. All right, in true Stacy style, we are going to shuffle these bad boys up. And if you want to work with these cards, how will these cards work with you? Interesting. The Magician. Skill, inadequacy, cat's paw. Makes a lot of sense. So I feel like this deck is going to encourage you to use your alchemy, to use your the resources that are around you. It's going to encourage you to think for yourself, get information, ask your question, and then use the tools that you have at your fingertips to go a little bit deeper. This deck gives you tools to be able to go deeper. So it's like, I'm going to give you the answers, I'm going to give you the guidance, but I'm going to give it to you in a little bit of a code, because I want you to have to kind of explore. I want you to have to do a little bit of exploration to understand yourself, to understand why these things are happening to you, so that you have some skin in the game. So I definitely feel like it is true from an energetic perspective. It's true to form to the TV series of Star Trek, and what it sort of embodies, right? Like, explore, go where no one has gone before. And I love that the Magician popped out in this way. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is our original series Star Trek tarot deck. I hope you enjoyed this. It was really fun for me to walk through it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of folklore and my memory of the episodes. I always laugh because I really am. I've watched the documentary about Trekkies and the show Trekkies and whatever, and I'm like, I am so not that way. I just am not. But I love the premise of the shows, and maybe it's a little bit nostalgic, but I think it's also that starseed in me that is like, yes, like I believe that these are, ways that we can live and all the rest of it. So I love that I have a tarot deck that I know I'm really going to enjoy using. Feel free to put some comments below. Let me know what you thought about this particular deck. If you're also a Star Trek fan like me, or a sci-fi fan. If you have any other sci-fi deck suggestions for me that you think I might like, would love to hear them from you. Otherwise, guys, sending you so much love and support. We will see you for another episode of Divinely Decked, and transform well. We'll see you on the flip side. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.